Hey, hi, what's your name? My name's Tammy. Are you new here? It's your first night? I've been here for 2 weeks. Well, 2.5 weeks. Don't let them catch you talking at night. They'll take away your phone privileges. What'd you do to have to get in here? Me? Well, I called it a nervous breakdown. I was attacked in my trailer. And, well, everywhere I looked, there was the guy that attacked me. I would see him in the front yard. I would see him at the grocery store. I would see him waiting at the bus line. But I guess it really wasn't him, or at least that's what I was told. We just moved here from Iowa. My husband got a new job, so we moved into a trailer park that's down by the ocean. It was beautiful. You could hear the waves crashing on the beach at night. We had only planned on living in the trailer park for just about a month until my husband got a couple of paychecks under his belt and we could rent a house. But then that night happened. You see, I was home during the day while my husband was working, and I was trying to make a cake for him to surprise him. I've never made a cake before, and so the first one didn't turn out, the second one didn't turn out, so I was on my third try. I had made quite a mess and decided to take a quick shower while the cake was in the oven, and that's when it happened. The showers in those trailers are very small, so I had to step outside the shower just to dry off because there wasn't any room inside the shower. I stepped out of the shower, and as I was drying myself off, I heard the doorknob to the trailer start to turn, and I yelled out for my husband. His name is Rick, and nobody answered. So I grabbed my robe and put my hair up on a towel, and I went out to check. Well, I went to the door and opened it up, and there was nobody there. So I shut the door, and when I turned around, there was a man standing right behind me. Well, I screamed, but I had the radio on, so I doubt anybody heard me. Well, he grabbed me, roughed me up quite a bit, and hit me on the head. And the next thing I knew, I was laying on the floor beside the bed. I woke up to my husband shaking my shoulders and yelling, "Tammy, Tammy." I couldn't say anything. I couldn't form a word. I couldn't think. He just kept saying, "Tammy, Tammy, what happened?" I do remember saying, the man in the gray suit, the businessman in the gray suit. And that's the last thing I remember until I woke up the next day to the doctor taking my blood pressure. He had come to our trailer to check me out, see if I was okay. He was friends with the people next door to us. He said that something traumatic like this can cause memory loss. He said I needed to rest. He gave me a shot of something that made me sleep until the next day. He said I needed it to calm down. My husband was furious. He kept saying, "If I catch this guy, I'm gonna kill him." The doctor told my husband that we probably shouldn't stay in the camper tonight and that we should stay at a hotel, just because it would put me under more stress, staying in the camper where I was attacked. So that night, we packed up our bags and we jumped in the car and we drove out of town to try to find a quiet place to rest and recuperate. The next day, I was pretty much out of it. I didn't want to talk, and my husband just kept asking me, "How are you doing? How are you doing? Are you okay?" And every single time I told him, yes, I'm okay. But really, I wasn't. I kept reliving that attack over and over in my head. I didn't want to talk to my husband about it because it would make him more angry. He had already said that he was going to kill this guy if he finds him. Well, during this time, I just felt like my head was in space the whole time. I couldn't think. I couldn't keep a thought in my head for 3 seconds. And the doctor had given me these little white pills that I was supposed to take twice a day so that I didn't get stressed out. But they just made me tired and want to sleep, and it made it harder to keep a thought in my head. But I guess that's not a bad thing. Well, the morning that we woke up at the hotel, my husband wanted to take me to get breakfast at a sit-down restaurant, and I washed my face, got dressed, and we got in the car, and we drove on. And as we were driving, I just kept looking at all these people walking on the sidewalk. And then, there he was. There was the guy in the gray suit, the salesman. He was carrying a briefcase. And I told my husband that. I said, there he is. There's the man. Well, he looked at me, and he pulled the car over to the side of the road and said, I'll be right back. I told him, no, I don't want to stay in the car by myself. He said, lock the doors, and he just took off. And he followed this guy into an apartment building. Well, I was still tired from those pills, and I think I just dozed off a little. Well, the next thing I know, he had come back to the car and got in and continued driving. I said, what happened? Was it him? And he says, well, you told me it was him. And I said, yes, that was him. And then we just drove off and stopped at a restaurant and sat down and ate. Well, on our way back to the hotel, it happened again. I saw the salesman. I told my husband, I said, hey, there he is again. Right there, the guy in the gray suit, holding a briefcase. Rick, there he is. And he gave me the strangest look. I've never seen this look on his face before. It was like anger and confusion, and like he was scared. But that didn't make sense, because he had said if he ever caught this guy, he was gonna kill him. I know he was angry about it, but he didn't seem scared. This look on his face, he looked scared. Well, the next thing I know, he's racing back to the hotel, and he said that we need to pack our stuff up and go further out of town and stay at a hotel there. I asked him why, and he said, well, you saw the guy in the gray suit. We don't need to be anywhere near him. Which made sense. And so I packed up all our stuff, and we drove for 2 or 3 hours. And I asked him, why are we driving so far out? This isn't even close to where you work. You're going to be driving 2 hours to get to work in the morning. He said he didn't care. All he cared about was that I get better. Well, when we got settled into the new hotel, I was exhausted, and I just wanted to lay down. He had asked me if I wanted something to drink or something to snack on, and I said that I would like some coffee. That would be nice. And so he said he was going to get room service to bring it up, and I said thank you. So we waited, and about 20 minutes later, I hear a knock on the door. My husband was in the bathroom, so I went to go open the door for the bellhop. But when I opened the door, it was him. It was the guy in the gray suit with the briefcase. I couldn't believe it. I screamed so loud. The guy, he took off down the hall, and my husband ran out of the bathroom and asked what was wrong. And I told him, the guy in the gray suit. And he looked at me all confused, and I said, he's running down the hall. He goes, and he looks down the hall, and he sees this guy running, and he runs after him. Well, they must have took the stairs, because I couldn't see them after they turned the corner. And I didn't see my husband for another 10 hours after that. I didn't know where to look or what to do. I kept going down to the lobby to ask if there was any messages, but nothing. He never tried to call, so all I could do was just sit in that hotel room and just wait and wait for my husband to get back. But then when he did, things got bad. Things got real bad. He had blood all over his pants and on his hands, and he went into the bathroom to wash his hands. I heard him turn the shower on, and he was probably in there for 5 minutes, and then he came out. And I tried to ask him questions. I tried to find out what happened. I said, "Is that your blood? Whose blood is that? What happened?" I said, "Oh my God, what did you do?" And then he looked at me with the strangest look, and he said, "Well, you know what I did." And I said, No, I don't. I've been sitting in this hotel waiting for you for 10 hours. He said, "Tammy, I told you if I find that guy, I would kill him." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I said, "Is that what you did? Did you kill him?" He wouldn't say anything. He just stood there, looking at me. I had never been so scared in my life. I didn't know if my husband had killed somebody. I didn't know if he was mad at me. Was he going to attack me? The look on his eyes, I've never seen that before. I was scared. He sat down on the couch, turned the radio on, and just sat there and listened. I tried to talk to him, but it was like he was in a daze. He wouldn't say anything. Well, I went into the bathroom, and there his clothes were on the floor, all bloodied. So I went to pick them up, and out fell a huge wrench, like what mechanics use to work on big trucks. It had blood all over it. I didn't know what to do. He was out there listening to music, wouldn't talk to me. So I just started cleaning. I put the wrench in the sink and started to wash the blood off of it. I wasn't thinking if that was a good idea or not. It was just something to do. I took his clothes and put them in a bag and put them in the suitcase. I put the wrench in the suitcase too and put it in the closet. I wiped down the sink and made sure everything was clean and that there was no drops of blood anywhere. That night, we went to bed without speaking. I didn't even try to talk to him. He just looked like a zombie, just staring off into space. The next morning, we packed up our stuff and went back to the trailer. He wanted to move it to a different lot, somewhere safer, he said. And that sounded okay to me. Now, I know when I got hit on the head, it must have did something to my brain. Because the minute we pulled into that new trailer lot, I saw him again. The businessman, the guy in the gray suit. But I didn't dare tell my husband. I didn't dare do that. So I just stayed quiet. I didn't know what to do. There's no way I was going to feel safe in this trailer lot. So I just stayed inside, locked the doors when my husband went to work during the day, and unlocked them when he got home. We lived that way for the next 2 weeks, and then decided to look for a house to rent. We looked at a couple houses, and it didn't take long to find one. I think we both just picked one so we could just get settled and forget about what happened. Well, we got settled, and I had a routine. As soon as my husband would leave for work, I would lock all the windows, the doors, and shut the blinds. I didn't dare look out the window for fear of seeing the guy in the gray suit. Well, this one night, my husband didn't come home from work. I called his office, and nobody answered. I did that about 3 or 4 times. And I started to get really worried. So a couple of hours later, I get a knock at the door. I was scared. There's no way I was going to answer the door. Not a chance. But then I heard, "Open up, it's the police." And so, well, I kind of had to open it at that point. So I opened the door and I asked them if I could help them. And he says, "Is your name Tammy?" And I said, "Yeah." And they said, "Your husband has been arrested for murder." And I stood there with my mouth open. I couldn't say anything. I didn't know what to say. And he said, "Ma'am, did you hear me?" And I said, "Yes." Who did he murder?" And he said, "Oh, not just one person, but two." And I said, "No, he wouldn't do that." And then it hit me. Yes, he would. He told me he would. And then there was the blood, and the wrench, and the bloody clothes. And by the way, I have no idea what happened to those. He must have taken them and threw them out somewhere, because I never saw those pants again, or the wrench for that matter. Well, we sat for about an hour, them asking me question after question. And I just did my best to answer the questions, and then they left. One of them gave me his card with his phone number and told me to call him if I remember anything. And I'm thinking, what am I supposed to remember? I don't know. This is crazy. But then I did remember. I remember driving to breakfast and telling my husband that there he is. There's the guy in the gray suit holding a briefcase. And then that's when he pulled over. And that's when I fell asleep, waiting for him to come back. And then we ate breakfast. And then again, on our way home, I saw him again, the businessman in the gray suit. Twice I told my husband I saw him. So was this my fault? What did he do? Did he follow these guys? Did he kill them? I didn't tell my husband about the third time I saw the businessman. I didn't dare tell him that time. It turned out my husband was guilty of killing both of those guys. The two men that I said looked like the guy who attacked me. So he had to go to prison for that. But the crazy thing is, I keep seeing the guy in the gray suit, the businessman, holding a briefcase. I see him everywhere I go. I see him walking up my driveway. I see him delivering the mail. I see him packing the groceries at the grocery store for me. He was everywhere I looked. Oh, my poor husband. Because of me, because I lost my mind and gone crazy, he killed two innocent men. Well, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm on a hold. Today, I had a meeting with the psychiatrist. And guess who he looked like? The guy in the gray suit. He said, "Tammy, I don't see you getting out of here anytime soon. We have a lot of work to do before that happens." So yeah, I'm crazy, and that's why I'm in here. I guess I'll be here for a while. But I will get out before my husband does.